communication. I don't believe if the street department has to go and work on new infrastructure, I think the sidewalks and the gutters should be repaired at the same time. I think they should be both done at the same time instead of coming back and reworking it. It's just ridiculous that you have to pay twice for the same job.
I feel the single biggest problem facing Logan City today is the new land development code. I didn't think my friends and neighbors would take my property rights without compensating me for them. The next thing is I'm really sad about the infrastructure. There are projects that were promised 31 years ago when we moved here that they would be put on a list and prioritized that have never been completed. And yet we have a new golf course.
There have been times in the history of Logan that we have not had money in our general fund. We have not had a reserve that we need. And in this time more than any other time, it's critical that we maintain those reserves. So I think that part is working. I think the new land development code is a huge, giant step forward for our communities and for our neighborhoods. It allows the neighborhoods for the first time to have input into what they want their neighborhood to look like and how they want their neighborhood to flourish.
One of the things that concern me, we don't have a lot of new building going on in our community. I think it's very important that we make Logan the most business-friendly place we can make it. Jobs are essential for our tax base, and I think one of my mantras would be to continue the streamlining, but also look at some of the fees and make sure that we are being as reasonable and responsible as possible.
For the past several years, we have aggressively attempted to make sure we really don't spend any more than we anticipate taking in. It has given us a sound fiscal basis and made our credit rating excellent, one of the best in the state, according to the state auditors. And so I think that means we need to stay the course.
So once you make sure that the budget is balanced, you've got to make sure that the dollars are spent in the place where they should be. And we need to be proactive and go out and make sure that the citizens know about the budget and know where those priorities are. We know their priorities and that they are aware of where that money is being spent. So I think the communication is part of that responsibility.
This is sacred money, and fiscal responsibility is making sure that those dollars that come from these very sacred sources, from some of the poorest, from some of the most unfortunate of our citizens, that it gets spent wisely and for purposes that will benefit all of us.
You know, we have some real crises that we're going to have to address, and so I think we've taken the right steps, but I think we've got to be prepared fiscally to deal with some of these things that are coming down, I guess, the figurative pipeline that we're going to have to deal with.
But there's not much as a city government we can do besides tell people they can't drive their cars. We as citizens can make the decision to try to drive less, to carpool, to try to make multiple stops when we go out for errands all at the same time and then make it back home sooner. We can solve the problems as citizens. There's a lot of little things we can do that makes a big difference if all of us pitch in and do it together.
I guess we could be really creative and set up huge fans at the end of the valley and blow it all over the Brigham City. But really, I think it's a citizen initiative that we all should be concerned about what we can do about it. And I know that if you read some of the history of the valley, when the primary source of heat was coal, we looked a lot worse than we do now. But this is largely something that we as a city council would need to be encouraging and providing ideas and things like that, but it's not something that we can legislate or something that we can force people to do to change that.
To me, the question that I ask myself, no matter what I'm responding to is this
a proper function of government. It goes down back to the basics. Government exists to protect our life, liberty, and property, the fruits of our labors. 9 out of 10 questions can be answered very easily. Golf course should never have been considered. Air quality, that's a gray area for me. I'm not certain whether that falls under the proper role of government or not to be involved in. I would prefer on most any issue for the private sector to be involved, and I don't know yet. I'd have to weigh government solutions, I'd have to weigh private sector solutions, many factors to consider here.
No, I don't think it's a city issue, and I don't think the taxpayers want to deal with the illegal immigration issue. I think and for one thing, the boundaries are so back and forth, I think it would cause a big problem. I think it's a state and federal issue, and that's where it properly lies.
But it is also the responsibility of citizens that are either business owners or farmers that they abide by those laws that they believe to be true. And if they enjoy those, the blessings that come by obedience to the laws, then that's what they need to do. Although I do feel like it is a very difficult task for many people. I don't know. I think it's very difficult, the system that's set up. And I believe personally that people should have the opportunity. If they can make our community better, why not? Now, why would you ever turn down a great team member